Well, let's dig deeper now with Anna Navarro, who's an advisor to a number of GOP candidates and a Jeb Bush supporter. Also, Paul Babeu, sheriff of Pinal County, Arizona, who's considering a run for Congress next year. So, Anna, when Donald Trump points to this San Francisco murder and says, look, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The system is broken. This guy should not have been in the country. Do the other GOP candidates, don't they have to agree with him, whether they like it or not?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody feels compelled to agree with Donald Trump. I think most of the GOP candidates, certainly the serious ones, see him as a carnival barker. They don't see him as a, real, genuine candidate. That's why it's taken a while for folks to respond to him, because you don't want to own him and you don't want. Yeah, but part of it is his name ID, his celebrity status. It's the fact that people like the spectacle and reality show that he's bringing to politics. So I don't think they have to agree. And I think that George Pataki is right. And it's, a lot of people are going to see it as exploiting a tragedy. And we should focus on where the system failed this woman, where the system failed the citizens of San Francisco in letting this man out on the street. But let's not exploit it for political purposes.
Sheriff, you're in law enforcement. You're also a politician. You're a Republican. You got to run for office. What do you make of what Donald Trump has been saying?
Well, he's talking about a very real issue, and it isn't just San Francisco's problem. This is America's problem, and there isn't a state that's not affected by the criminal element of the illegals who are here.
Are the people you're seeing coming across the borders rapists?
There are some. He paints with too wide of a brush here. I don't agree with his comments. To make that clear, 30% of the 400,000 residents of my county are Hispanic, many of them of Mexican descent, good, decent, hardworking Americans, yet there are thousands of criminal illegals that are released every year, 30,000 last year alone, and that's what I think he's tapping into, this anger for Americans, because you and I have to follow the law, but there are 193 convicted murderers who are not from America who were released into our communities, 400 that were convicted of rape and sexual assault, 300 convicted of kidnapping, and when it appears, and it's very real, that there's a lack of consequence or punishment, what do we think is going to happen? You don't have to be the sheriff to figure out that these people are going to commit serious crimes again and again and against American citizens. And so even though I don't agree with him, he's tapping into this anger that exists because of the failures in our system when we have to follow and abide by law, but it appears that there is no law when it comes to illegal immigration, certainly when it comes to these most dangerous criminals. And here you even have ICE that is out attacking San Francisco for this. I'm shocked that they're so outraged, and I'm glad that they are.
Anna, you hear what the sheriff is saying. Maybe Donald Trump isn't the right person to be leading this conversation. He's painting with too broad a brush, but it's a conversation that needs to be had, and tougher border security, tougher law enforcement, penalties. That's part of it, right?
Oh, and I think people are having that conversation. People who are advocates for immigration reform all talk about having zero tolerance for illegal aliens, undocumented immigrants who come here and commit crimes. The problem here is that this guy had 7 felonies and they let him loose without turning him over to ICE. That really defies logic, and I think that San Francisco's bleeding heart liberalism and compassion just went too far in this case, and the system is broken. Definitely. Look, I'm an immigrant to this country, and I can tell you, Anderson, yes, there are some people who are bad apples in every single group, every single ethnicity, nationality, race, etc. We just saw this weekend, 40-some shootings in Chicago, almost 10 deaths in Chicago over the weekend. Those were not immigrants committing it. There's bad apples and good people in every group. That being said, yes, we have to address the border. Yes, we have to address the fact that if you come here as an immigrant, you come to this country, and you turn around and you commit crimes, there should be no tolerance and no welcome mat for you.
Sheriff, Donald Trump says we need what he calls a great wall at the U.S.-Mexico border. He's going to make Mexico pay for it. How realistic is it to build an impenetrable wall across the entire border? When you hear that, because that's something people have been trying to build walls for a long time. Billions have been spent on border security. Is that feasible?
One, I don't advocate for that. I'm a combat engineer, retired Army officer. I actually helped build border fence south of San Diego, and not all 2,000 miles need a fence. We're not building the Great Wall of Mexico. We need 700 miles of this barrier on areas that are already determined to be historic, proven smuggling corridors. And we need the technology to complement it. Cameras, infrared, lighting, sensors, and then far more important than a fence or all that technology I mentioned, we need enforcement of the law. The laws that already exist that literally have just been with a wave of the hand, that's why we're arresting in my county people who are committing crimes in my state that have been deported 8 times, 15 times. Heck, last month we arrested a guy that almost proudly proclaimed he's been deported 20 times. And so don't scratch your head trying to figure this out. Why they keep coming back, I'm talking the criminals, is because there's a lack of consequence. So what do we think's going to happen?
Right. Sheriff, I appreciate you being on again. Sheriff Babeu, Ana Navarro, thank you.